Join me, Jonesy, for interviews, recaps, and much more. So tune in, unwind, and get your sporting fix. Well, it's good to have you on, Joss.
Thanks,
really
mate.
good. We've been trying to get you on for a long time.
We have.
We've finally found something.
We're
We
here.
had a schedule last week. You fell sick, so luck hasn't been our way.
True.
But no, we're good now. We're good here. Obviously, we're related.
Yes, we are.
Which is very, very good.
It is.
Anyway, so I know a lot about you, but not a lot about your basketball.
Sure.
So this is why I've got you on the podcast today. You spent some time at the Supercats, which is a pretty high-profile club, but you've had injuries and you've had everything happen. So I want to really talk about your story because it's a fascinating one. I was talking to Ben and he had a lot to say
Ben.
at work. Uncle
He's
Ben,
always got a lot to
he had a
say.
lot to say and he would be very happy that we've mentioned him. He did tell me before that he wants me to talk about him, so it's at the start of the episode. So he'll be very happy wherever he is, Ben.
So half
He'll
of this
be
podcast
smiling.
is going to be about
Yeah,
Ben
it's all
Peck
about
and
Ben,
his
so
antics.
he'll be loving it. Anyway,
All for you, Ben.
how
There you go.
did you first get into basketball?
Well, shout out to the great Tim King. Father King.
Yes.
He introduced me to the game.
Did he?
So at a very young age.
What age?
He played, mate, I don't know. I was
Yeah.
probably growing up throwing
Straight
the
out of
ball
the
around.
womb.
Straight out of the womb, I reckon.
Nah, that's
So
good.
from a very young age, I went and watched him all the time. He
Yeah.
played fairly high level. He was, I think, like Melbourne under 18s or under 20s.
Oh,
Played for Geelong a bit himself, I think.
for the Supercats.
Yeah.
Did he really?
When he was young, so I think he was a bit
I
of a
didn't
bench
even know
warmer.
that. Oh, he
Well,
was a bench warmer. Gee,
He did. I don't think he even told me till a year or two
really?
ago.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
I was like, oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
That is interesting.
So very early on,
Yeah.
a lot of exposure to the game, was watching him a lot
Yeah.
and play, and then introduced to the NBA
Mm.
back in the day, and Michael Jordan and all of that.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just kind of grew an addiction to the game. And
Yeah. So what was your first memory? Like if you were to go back
yeah, that's a
a
good
long
question.
time about basketball, would it be like you with your dad or getting up watching basketball, if you could date back?
Yeah, I remember playing. I think I was 8, and because of when I'm born in December, I mean I had to play like the age group above.
Yeah.
So I played under 12s, I reckon,
Yeah.
at when I was 8 or 9 years old. One of the earliest memories I remember is going the wrong way in a basketball
Okay.
game.
That's a
So
interesting start.
I used to my first team I played with Taylor Dow, who's a guy. He went on and played Vic and played quite high
Yeah,
level
yeah.
and was a bit of a prospect. But I remember vividly a memory of
Going
us
the wrong way.
going the wrong way
Was it
after a
backcourt?
half time or something and nearly shot the ball. And
There we go.
they were like, "You're going the wrong way."
If you
So
do shoot a ball going backwards in the wrong hoop, is that a point to the other team?
it is.
So did you do
It's
that?
like an own goal. No.
Oh,
I
you
think
just missed.
I think Taylor had the ball and we
Okay.
turned around and
Luckily.
just into it.
What club was that? Was that your first club?
We were called the Dragons.
Was that your first club?
Yeah.
And you just made it up as like,
I think.
or it was under 12s?
Yeah, it was under 12,
Yeah.
so it was just.
So you were
the
versing
team.
like kids higher than you. That would have been.
Yeah, kind of. I think
it's
I'm a bit
good
older.
thing,
Yeah, I think so. I
'cause
think it was helpful for me.
Yeah, but then, I guess it would have been. Did you have like idols growing up? I mean, you mentioned MJ.
Yeah,
The NBA,
Michael Jordan. I remember watching a lot of clips of MJ when I was younger, and
Yeah.
the Bulls, the 90s Bulls, was all about that.
Yeah.
Pretending to be Michael Jordan or Dennis Rodman in the
Would
backyard.
you say
all
he's?
that.
I feel like we got to go into the GOAT. You know,
Of
the
course.
GOAT discussion.
I'm
actually-
a purist
I
at
feel
heart
like-
with this debate,
Yeah,
so
I feel like you can't compare the two, but because they're both really good. But I didn't get up. I wasn't able to watch Michael Jordan. Obviously, I just seen clips. But
yes.
who is the GOAT
Oh,
in your
I
opinion?
want to know your opinion on
Yeah,
this as well.
I know. Well, I just feel like. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, no. So this is how I explain it.
Okay.
If you're going to build a basketball player to be amazing in every category
Yeah.
and get some wins because they're really, really good, but if you're going to build a basketball player, you're going to build LeBron James
Yep.
because he's tall, he's quick, he can pass, he can shoot, he can do everything. But if you want someone who is going to be what they call a dog and he's going to win at every opportunity, he's got the mindset to win, he's not going to stop at anything, you're going to go with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
If you want someone you're going to build, if you've got 10 years and you're like, we want to win a championship and Michael Jordan's an option,
Yeah.
you just take MJ.
I just feel like I can't get over the durability of LeBron. Like how old is he now?
He's 39, I think.
39, and he's still averaging 24, 25 points a game. I was actually on the bus, and I was looking at these stats with another kid that loves basketball, and we were comparing the two, and I like MJ retired at a younger age, obviously.
Yes.
I can't remember what.
And then he came back.
And then he came back, which
Well, he actually nearly averaged like 20 points a game at 40 something.
Did he really?
Yeah. So he actually,
actually
even though people was like, he came back and he didn't do a lot, he was
20 points,
old.
20 points at 40.
And he was still doing stuff that like...
But then again, LeBron's got the most points in the franchise and you can't go past that. So, yeah. I feel like LeBron, but yeah, it's a really tough.
It's
I feel like you can't really compare the two.
That's why I kind of phrase it like I did, because
exactly.
It's what do you want, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want someone with longevity who's going to get a lot of stats and look really good and take your team to some championships, but it's definitely a time thing.
Yeah,
I think Jordan obviously got it done quicker.
Yeah.
In the championships, and he didn't lose any championships, but then at the same time, LeBron James is an amazing basketball player who could be the, one of the greatest because of different things to MJ.
Yeah.
And so it depends if you define championships.
And then you got Kobe third. Would you have Kobe?
I love
third?
Kobe.
Kobe's
I
good.
love Kobe.
How good is he?
Yeah.
Such a shame, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, who are your biggest influences or idols growing up? It would have been those two. But if you could date back, they're the general ones. Everyone says Michael. Everyone says LeBron. But if you could have a unique opinion, who would you look up to?
So I was born in 97, and so the 2000s was when I started to love the NBA, 2000 to 2010, let's say.
Yeah.
When I was starting to get into my teenage years and between 10 and 16, I guess, pretty formative years. And so people like your Vince Carters, your Allen Iversons, people who were really athletic, who were good to watch, who could take over games, guys like that, they really influenced me. Tracy McGrady, people like that.
Who'd you grow up supporting? Because you go for the Bucks now. Were you always a Bucks man?
No, not at all. I've changed a bit.
You've changed a bit. So have I. I have too.
Yeah.
Who did you grow up?
I think my first team was Orlando.
There you go.
Yeah, Orlando match. So Dwight Howard and Ben will love
what
this.
Year was this?
Because he always pays me out about this.
Oh, does he? Here we go. He'll be listening to this having a chuckle.
Yeah, 07 to I don't know, 10 or something like that. So Dwight Howard was one of the most dominant big men in the game. Yep. He was very good to watch. He just rebounded and dunked, so he was exciting. And they made the finals and played against the Lakers in 09.
Okay.
And so I was kind of supporting them around that time. Really liked their team. And then they got beaten by Kobe.
Oh, they did lose, yes.
So I actually despised Kobe as a kid.
At the time.
At the time, he was so frustrating.
Well, it's easy because it's easy to. I mean, I look at footy and I love footy, obviously. Yeah. And the team, I love Bontempelli. And he is a player that when you don't verse him, he's just so good to watch.
Correct.
But when they are frustrating, aren't they?
Correct.
So that was you with Kobe?
Yeah, a little bit. He was a ball hog and all the rest of it. Since then, I've really admired him because of even his philosophy around his mindset in the game and all of that. Really inspiring. But back then, he just dominated and it was really frustrating. So
yeah. And touching base on your childhood and your basketball in the childhood, what was life like as a young lad growing up and in the world of sport? Were you playing other sports or was basketball the main focus?
Basketball I was indoctrinated pretty early because of Dad, so I didn't have many options.
Yeah, we'd have to get him on and talk about basketball.
True. He's had plenty of experience.
Who's he go for?
He doesn't. He used to love the Spurs.
Yeah. Now
he doesn't really watch it. He's
a
busy man.
Yeah.
And he's got other hobbies like fishing these days.
Yeah.
We'll
be talking about fishing a bit. It's good.
Anyway, fishing all day.
Yeah, so was it just basketball for you?
Yeah, so it was until I was, I think, under 12s. I played for Drysey in footy.
Oh, yeah.
So
were you ruckman? Were you tall back in the day?
No, I was tallish, but I played wing.
Oh, same.
Yeah, so I loved it. The first... Footy is so different to basketball, and you've just got all this space.
Yeah, I know. Oh, tell me about it.
So at the start, in a basketball game, you've got places to run and try and read the defense and try and get to the right place. Footy's just you just run around.
And it's free.
It's correct. Free. So when I'm on the wing and the ball's on the other wing, I'd be like, do I just stay on the wing? Do I go to the middle? And my coach would be like, just go for the ball, mate. What are you doing?
And this is I played today and I was on the wing. And the amount of space you get, because sometimes, when you're playing on players that are new to the game, I guess they sort of get lost, and you get this so much space. But again, obviously, compared to basketball, it's a lot bigger and so there is a lot of space, and I could talk about footy for ages, but yeah, so you were a winger.
Yeah, so I was a winger. I think I played flank for a bit as well.
Yeah.
But so that year, and so I started to pick the game up.
Yeah.
Maybe halfway through, something like that. I played a bit of twos and stuff as well, but I think mostly ones. And I remember I got a few votes one game and kicked a goal or two.
Yeah. So you were pretty handy at the sport.
And so, it started, and I think I was kind of naturally athletic.
Yeah.
And so once I worked out the game, I think I got put in the middle one game.
Yeah.
And I started to work it out and get a few touches.
Were you basketball part of your life at that time as well?
So parents kind of went, you either play rep basketball, so like Friday nights, or you play footy. And so I played footy on the weekends and then basketball just social during the week.
Yeah.
Played for 1 year.
Who was rep basketball playing for? What teams?
I played 1 or 2 years for Ballerine Storm.
Oh,
and then when played footy.
Yeah.
And then after that season came back.
Yeah.
But the annoying thing is, during that footy season, I broke my arm doing something dumb.
What did you do?
Outside the game. I jumped off a hill and we were at the Drysdale Park.
Yes.
You know the massive hill near the netball court?
Yeah, I do.
People were sliding down that, I think on, I don't know if it's cardboard or whatever, or just on their back, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to do the same, jump down the hill
broke your arm.
Just
how long
put a...
Was it like broken in half?
It was it was like a dislocation break. So it was real good.
So did you go to hospital?
Yeah.
And they
ambulance and
put
everything
it back in place. So
I missed the rest of the season. We made the granny and we won.
Oh, I was literally about to ask you if there was any success in your footy career. There would have been had you not broke your arm.
On the bench.
Oh, that's terrible. I haven't won a flag and I've been playing the game for ages, and you know, that must absolutely suck.
So it was pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
I think it maybe reinforced to go back to basketball as well.
Yeah,
though. I
true.
don't know. I just missed the game too much.
Yeah. What was the most challenging part about learning basketball, like as a kid?
That's a good question. When I joined this Ballerine Storm in under, it must have been under 12s or 14s or something like that.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I just had to. I was kind of taller at that stage, so I had to work out the speed of the game, how to read the game.
Yeah.
And I think early on, I had to play really hard.
Okay.
And just hustle and just I wasn't very skilled at anything at that stage.
Right.
I think.
So it was just about building it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you like? Were you pretty dominant in your early years? Like,
no,
you weren't really.
Not really.
Yeah.
So this is one of the really interesting things that I found through my juniors going into.
Yeah.
You know, your under 18s and then higher. Is that I was playing twos for most of my juniors, and I don't know. I think I was probably one of the better players in the twos, but I was never good enough to make ones for a little while.
Yeah. Did you always have a desire? Like, did you always want to take it to a high level, or?
I think I just loved the game.
Yeah, and that sort of took your place.
And it kind of took, and then I grew. Like, I think when I was maybe 12, I actually wasn't that tall. I was shorter and rounder, and then and ate a lot, and then the next year I just grew like a couple of inches,
and you started to thin out,
and then started to thin out, started to get a bit taller, and I think my skills caught up a bit with my height. And so a few years there, when I started to grow and understand how I could play, things started to tick over. Yeah,
like when did you get your first big break in basketball and started to take off? Like, and how things change?
I think. Yeah, like under 16s probably started to enjoy. I was playing with great mates at the time, like on Friday nights and stuff. And so you travel up to Melbourne and everything.
Right. And what club was this one for?
This was still Ballerine Storm.
Storm, yep.
So I played till under 18s, under 20s with Storm. And we made the semi-final that year.
Yeah, okay.
Or did we make the granny? Yeah, I think we made... under 16s, I don't think we made finals, but my game was starting to progress, and then under 18s, we got a new coach. It was really good, and we made it to the granny, and we lost. But I remember my coach after that game was like, "You're someone I could see going to college." And,
wow.
You know,
how'd you respond?
I don't know if it was after that game, but it was during that season.
How'd you respond to that? Because I bet, did that even flash your mind? Like, did those sort of comments or like idea of
I think it was around that time
where you started to realise you're starting to get better.
I
you could take it.
Probably the last year or two, I've started to see how I can play, and I could I was athletic enough so I could get to the ring and I could do different things. I couldn't shoot. I didn't really have a 3-point shot, but I could start to do things on the court and get to places where maybe other guys couldn't, just because I was a bit taller and a bit quicker.
Yeah, so it was just like a process year after year, getting better and better.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't a big I never made a state team.
Yeah.
I didn't go because when you're in Drysdale and you play Ballerine Storm, you sometimes go to Geelong Supercats as a junior because that's where you try and make it.
I was about to ask the process of being selected, because you mentioned, that you didn't make it into the state team or anything. I was about to ask, so what is the selection in that case if you were to play into the Supercats? How do you get into it?
As in, to Geelong?
The Geelong Supercats.
So I guess, there was a few years of playing at Ballerine, and then I must have been 16 or 17, and I think... all through this time, I was also playing in Geelong social team.
Okay.
So the men, I played with Dad a little bit in Geelong in men's comp, and then the Division 1 Christian College team, that was the men's team in Geelong, asked me to play for him as well, and I was still pretty young at this time. So that was really the development of my game, was those nights, because you had guys who were playing NBL 1, which was Siebel at the time in that comp. You had older guys who were more experienced.
And did they just dominate in those leagues, or were they actually surprisingly stable?
I mean, yes and no. There was some pretty incredible, there's a guy called Jason Reardon, who was really a great Supercats player of all time, really.
Yeah, okay.
You can ask anyone about Jason Reardon. He was in the comp at that time. Nathan Herbert, who was a Supercats player, Nick Owusu. So these guys would play in this comp.
Yeah, right.
And so there were people like me who were 16 at the time, 17. And so then you would go play in that comp as well to develop, and without the stakes of it being a semi-professional.
I feel like that's a good system they had, obviously, building up to it, and that's what they should do also. Yeah. But it's pretty cool how it works like that. The info on the Supercats. So who do you versus? People that don't know enough about the Supercats, it's NBL 1, and it's the league before the NBL.
Correct.
So who do you verse, and where do you go? And give us an info.
Question. So a lot of it's mostly Melbourne-based teams.
Yeah.
And so you have your Althams, your Waverleys, your Dandenongs, but then you also have Mount Gambier.
I was about to ask.
Comp,
I was literally
the hometown.
That was what was tripping me, because I got family over there, and they're the Pioneers. And I thought I saw them at NBL, and I was thinking, well, why would you be versing Melbourne teams and Mount Gambier? So that'd be the furthest you'd go.
Correct.
So you actually went to Mount Gambier to play?
We played a practice match against them in Portland, I think.
Oh, okay. And
I never had to go there, thank goodness.
Yeah, I know, that's a long... So would they just take a bus and take off?
I think, I can't remember if they flew or not, because, as we'll find out, that was when I was injured, so I didn't actually have to go.
Yeah. But you played in Melbourne, and you where's the furthest you've played, or places?
Yeah, so I mean, in juniors, or in juniors, it would have been somewhere in Melbourne. I remember playing games on Wallen. Jeez,
where's that?
That's a throw. That's North Melbourne,
really?
kind of far
north.
Yeah. You got your Wallens, and your Dandenongs is kind of far away. So really Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne based.
Far Melbourne.
But then Mount Gambier is just completely the opposite direction, which is weird.
Yeah.
So obviously when you were recognised and chosen into the team, it must have been very special getting selected. What was your initial thoughts when you did it? Was it a surprise to you, or were you sort of hoping and expecting, come on, choose me?
Yeah, there was a lot leading up to that. I guess out of 18s, then joining Geelong, I played under 20s for Geelong for a couple of seasons, then I played under 23s for Geelong for a couple of seasons, and then those were the years where I really started to find my game.
Yeah.
Started to find that I could play this game at a high level, started to probably believe that I could make it somewhere, and so and then there were a few seasons actually training with the Supercats team.
Yep.
Without being in the team.
How was that like?
That was really good.
Was it intense?
Yeah, you had to
Yeah.
learn how to play fast.
Okay.
You had to
And
learn
how often was the training?
twice a week,
Twice a week?
Yeah.
For how long? Couple of hours?
couple of hours, 2
Yeah.
hours.
So,
training
like, with
sessions.
those players you played with, were they were like the full rostered team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah.
And then Nick Owusu's the bloke that stands out to me. Is he the games record holder?
That's a good question.
Well, because I did have a look on his profile, and he said he played 360 games.
Wow.
That's a lot, but I don't know if it's the most or not. But
Yeah,
he'd
right.
certainly be up there if it wasn't. How... Did you have a lot of time spent with him, or was it not really? Because he
I
would have
know
been good
Nick
to hang
pretty
around.
well. I did some training sessions with him as well.
Yeah.
I've played against him a bit, like in that social comp and stuff. And so he's a really great guy, really hard worker, really solid basketball player. And so, and the funny thing is, actually, when I was a junior, he was one of my coaches.
He was that,
just for training and stuff like that.
Yeah,
for the Eagles, correct.
So the same, yeah.
So really good guy. So I've had a bit to do with him over the years.
Yeah, and I guess everyone that had a bit, like you'd learn so much from players like that as well. Can you recall the best story in the Supercats that you've ever had, whether it's like funny or anything? Like if you could date back and find a time.
Oh gosh.
Because there's always ones that pop up. I know it's hard to think on the spot.
I know. I mean, yeah, it's a kind of a weird, funny one. So there's a guy called Jamie Medved, and he wasn't in the team when I joined. I think he'd just finished up. Really great shooter. Played for the club for a lot of years, and he was like the wild guy on the team. Like, he would ask you outrageous questions about your favorite sites on the internet or something like that.
Just
joining the team.
Just genuine dribble.
Correct. Just genuine dribble.
Just random stuff.
And so you kind of just feel, all right, champ, you know. But he was actually a really great guy. Yeah. But the funny thing is, so the thing is, this year because I'm at Cardinia Church in Geelong, and he kind of comes to church every now and then, and I found out that he's actually one of the guys who he joined Alpha, which is like
the course.
Yeah, the course, which is when you get to know more about the Bible and God and stuff. And Jamie Medved was one of these guys who was interested in coming to this.
That's funny.
I was like, that's so weird.
Was that
like,
a surprise?
Yeah, a little bit.
I feel like if you're asking questions like that,
I know.
You wouldn't really expect him to go down that path. But
correct.
Yeah, it's
so there's just funny
stories,
crossovers like that.
And but you'd experience so much in that sort of like in the Supercats, and it'd be pretty good. And when you were there, what was the culture like at the Supercats?
It depends. Yeah, it depends what team. So, when I played under 23s for Geelong, I played 2 seasons, I think, with them, and it was really the 2 years where I started to find my groove. And so we had a coach called Darren Hindle, who just joined. I was overseas the year before that, and then I came and joined the team. And Darren was kind of welcoming him to the team, and those 2 years were really pivotal for me. He changed the culture. Like, we were a losing team before that.
Geez, the atmosphere. I mean, I went and watched you a few years ago when you were playing, and the atmosphere, like, people come down and they watch games.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
The atmosphere was really surprising in my opinion, because I wouldn't say basketball locally. Would you say it's big? I don't know, because I was surprised at least. I wasn't expecting it to be that energetic. But it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
like, would you say
at a junior level, it's actually quite big.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of young people who play,
there's a lot
and
of teams around.
Yeah, a lot of teams, a lot of clubs.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
but I guess I was just surprised because how many seats does the they call it the arena?
Yeah.
How many seats does the arena hold?
Is it? I don't know.
1,000 maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they seemed
bit under
1,000,
bit under 2,000. Something like that. So yeah, it's pretty full.
Yeah.
So anyway, those 2 years in the under 23s team, which they call Youth League.
Yep.
Our culture was really good. We made the finals 2 years. Yeah, we made the finals 2 years in a row, and so that was an awesome year.
Yeah. What did he do? What did the coach do to make it like such a?
He talked about culture and personal development more than X's and O's.
Right.
Which is probably that was the biggest thing. He wanted to know you as a person. He wanted to know how he could push you. He wanted to know how you could.
And I guess
he could get the best out of you, you know.
Knowing everyone individually makes it
correct
a lot more enjoyable.
And so we went from losing team to making the finals, and these were the kind of the years where I just grew. I started to understand how to play the game. He really taught me how to see the game and, slow down. How's the game unfold in front of you? Take your opportunities. And so I became, one of the top scorers in the league and had the opportunity to get some awards and stuff like that. Really because he believed in me.
Yeah.
And what I could do.
We see it a lot too in coaches. And I'll go back to footy, but like Craig McRae, so Collingwood's coach, last year, he just turned the club around. Yeah. But it's because it's about knowing people individually. And my current club coach for footy, if he's watching this, shout out to you. But we do a dinner with the coach, and it's good. It's a good little concept because you go out and you have a feed with your coach, and you get to know people, and then after that, you get to relate more, and you get to. So I think
100%.
And I think that's a big thing as a coach. And I don't know, I wouldn't go in the coaching role at all. I feel like I'd be a bit lost, but I feel like that's a very important thing, I guess, to build the.
Correct. And it depends who you are as a player too.
Yeah.
Like some players...
people don't need it.
Yeah, some players just need X's and O's, go out and do this, perform really well, think really quick thinking on your feet, like how to get stuff done. And then some players really need that journey with and discover who they are to get the best out of them.
It is. It must be a tough role being a coach. Yeah. But...
Because then for Darren, it was a lot about that personal growth stuff, and then when it would come to the court, he'd talk about defense, like this is how we're going to play defense, and then offense, he'd be like, assistant coach, you just do the offense. Like, did he
cop a couple of sprays? A couple of sprays?
Oh, mate, we cop sprays all the time. So
we've got to go into this. We don't. I copped a spray today in footy. Really? Yeah, we needed to win today to make finals. I already told you about this, but we didn't, which was a shame. But at half time, we were 30 points down, wet conditions. It's hard to come back in a game from 5 goals down with it bucketing rain, and we copped an absolute spray, but it's good. It's deserved. But you
love it.
Coaches' sprays are so good. What's the best one you've heard?
So in I'm trying to remember my years here. So it would have been 2018. I was away in 2017, so I took a break from the game. I was overseas with my family. Came back in 2018. That's when I joined the team. And Darren went on as coach. That year we grew as a team. Yep. We made finals. The next year we were one of the top teams.
Right.
And we have to learn how to be a top team. You have to learn how to win games, not drop bad games. But we just would start so slow some games. Like the Geelong Cats sometimes, just we'll be okay. Yeah. And then you'd call a timeout 3 minutes into the first quarter. Yeah.
I mean, I'm having a look now. You're actually up, which is good, 27-50. Just having a look at the scores there. So you are doing all right, but
goodness.
You were losing to the Roos at the start of the quarter, which is a bit concerning, and then you lost
somehow I'm not
to the
surprised.
Dogs. So sometimes you're up and about, sometimes not. Is that it's the same with your team at the time?
So anyway, so that season we would go, first couple of minutes, we'd be all revved up at the start of the game, first couple of minutes, and then we'd be down by 10 or whatever it is. Come back to the bench, cop a spray.
Was it a timeout?
Timeout. They call a timeout.
Scream. As soon as he did this, you're in for it.
They want to cop a spray, get back out on the court, and then, would go and play a bit better. And if we lost the game, we'd be like, that's because of our start.
Yeah.
But I do remember, and this is funny that I should have mentioned before when you were asking. I remember one game, I invited my mate up. The game was in Sunbury.
Yep.
I think we went up. We knew we were probably going to win the game. This was my second season there when we were playing well. I invited my mate up to come watch me play, and my first half was shocking. It was just awful. I was lost the plot. I was just angry. Wasn't playing well. So I come off the bench, and Daz just comes over to me, and I can't even remember what he said. He's like, "You either get it together or you sit here."
Oh no,
something like this.
Oh no,
and at that point, I was one of the guys. You have try and score points, try and play well.
Yeah, you got.
And he just was like, "You're gonna sit here, or you get it together."
Yeah, wow.
And went back on and actually had a very good second half.
So the sprays do work.
So the sprays do work, but no shortage of sprays.
So with the basketball sprays, are they different to the footy sprays? Because at footy sprays, they absolutely go off, and I haven't been sprayed in basketball, but obviously with a higher competitiveness in yours, you must get a couple. Yeah. What are they like? Just full vocal?
Yeah. It depends on the coach.
Yeah.
I think. because I guess I have the same question. I always think about in AFL
Yeah.
and stuff like that. When your team's playing
Yeah.
poorly
Yeah.
and you go into halftime or quarter time, sometimes you're like, I hope they spray them.
Yeah.
Because like...
They need it.
Because they need it. But sometimes it sounds like they don't, you know? And so, I don't know, like...
They are important.
Yeah, there's definitely times where coaches just lose it and have a go at the team or one player or... I mean, you know, especially if there's something that you haven't done well a couple of times.
But like even inside the arena, because at footy you're in your own club rooms, you're inside.
That's true.
It's insulated. You don't really hear much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you're on the little sidelines and this bloke's giving you a massive spray, would the crowd hear it?
Well,
or is it pretty deaf?
That's a good question actually, because a lot of the time they have music and stuff playing in the background.
Yeah, true.
And so sometimes when you're in a timeout anyway and they're playing music, the coach has to yell because they have to yell like over the noise and whatever it is. So I don't think a lot of the time people would hear, but man, you know it when you're in the huddle and someone's letting you have it.
Well, I got a question here, and it says if you could go back into like any time in the past to a game that you either played the best in, or if you could just go back into a game, what one would it be? And why? What's been...
A few thoughts come to mind. We played, at the end of my time playing for Youth League under-23s for Geelong, we played in a final series against Ballarat.
Yep.
And we lost as best of 3 games. We lost 2 in a row. I was actually thinking about this the other day. The training we did before the series during the week, I did my hamstring.
Oh,
I think the Monday or the Tuesday night
badly
before. Yeah, just like the coach Daz was making us do sprints.
Oh, he would have been
at the end of training.
Oh no!
Before the finals.
Oh.
He was just that guy. He's like, we're just gonna push you until.
Wow.
And so I did my hammy.
Wow.
And so I came off the bench for the first game. Still played okay, but. You know, that's one of those things you wish you could change. And then, I don't know, even the series in general, it would have been nice to get a game. They were a very good team, the Ballarat team. So it would have been nice to go back and
he probably would have been a bit guilty.
Yeah,
far out.
That's right. But there's a few games. There was a game I played. I think it was Warrandyte. You know, you're in this little high school gym on a Sunday afternoon. The night before, I went to a concert.
Yeah.
And I don't think I went to bed super late or anything, but I was a little bit sick. It was just a Sunday afternoon, and you're like, man, you got to get up and play this game.
Yeah.
We had people there who were also sick and not, feeling under the weather. And I was like, it's one of these days.
You have to.
And it ended up being one of the games I look back on, and I was like, we won the game. It was such a good game.
Yeah.
I played maybe one of my best games.
Yeah. It's the best feeling. Like, winning and then obviously playing really well, it just makes it so much better.
Correct.
Like, because in footy, like it completes your week, and it's like you win the game and you play well.
Correct.
It's like job done.
Yeah, and in basketball, like especially when you play at a level like this, you sometimes have double headers, so you have 2 games on a weekend.
Right.
So Saturday night you'll have a game, Sunday arvo you'll have a game, and so when you win 2 on a weekend, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're feeling good.
Yeah. Well, this is the interesting topic to talk about. Obviously, you said you did your hammy, and we'll go into the injuries. And you've had a few, haven't you? I know
that is true.
Like,
yeah,
and that's prone. Like basketball's tough on your knees. It's it
is
hard surface. You got to be really agile. Like you did your first ACL injury in what year was it?
2022.
2022. How did that one happen? Your first ACL?
Yeah. I'm just trying to... I always get the dates wrong because
you've actually done 2 ACLs.
Correct.
And we'll be talking
and
through
in the middle of that was
and
COVID and a whole bunch of stuff.
The unluckiness of that blows my mind. But your first one...
Yes.
What knee was it?
So, right.
Your right knee?
Right one. So to give some context, 2020...
Yep.
Must have been I joined the Supercats team.
Yep.
Or was it 2021? I can't remember.
Around that area.
It was around that time. It was around those 2 years. So joined the team, had a really good preseason. COVID hit, didn't have a season. So that was my first year in.
So that would have.
That was my first year in NBL 1.
So that's the unlucky. That's a start, a tick to unlucky.
Correct.
Like.
Yeah.
Then this blows my mind. Your story.
Come
about
back
injuries.
next season.
Yeah.
Which was 2021.
A full year later.
had a full preseason.
Yep.
I was actually quite inconsistent in my
Yep.
preseason. Like, had some good training sessions, had some not so good training sessions. And during that time, we had pracky matches, which this is what Ben will be talking about.
Ben, yep. So Ben, I'll give you clarity. So Ben said, this was when I was at work. He said,
on the pizzas.
on the podcast, when you get Josiah on, you got to make sure to mention him. So Ben, there you go. I've mentioned you. You apparently played really well in your practice match beforehand.
Correct.
Can you talk us about that game? Because I am intrigued.
I had 2 practice matches.
2 pracky matches, yep.
We had one in Sandringham.
Yep.
And I can't remember if we won that game or not.
Yep.
I had like 15 points.
That's handy.
Some rebounds.
That's good.
Felt pretty good.
Yeah.
On the court.
So this was after your first ACL? Was it after or before?
No, this was just before. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, just before.
True, because this is...
Yes.
Okay, yep.
So I went to Sandringham, and then I think we had a week later or sometime later, we played at home.
Yep.
Against Diamond Valley, and kind of had the same. Had 15 points again.
Yep.
Had a couple of rebounds. Played quite well. Felt really good in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got voted. We call it the Cat.
Yep.
The like best player on the court for the team.
So you got that in the pracky match?
So I got that in the pracky match.
Yep.
Felt really good.
Yep. Everything going to plan.
Come back the very next week. Yeah, so I think the week after, we had round 1 on the Saturday, had training on the Monday or the Wednesday night. And it was just one of those nights. Training wasn't going amazing for me. We learnt some new stuff. And anyway, so we had a full court drill. I was coming back on defense. Someone was on a fast break coming at me.
Yeah.
I went to slide over to play defense, and my right knee just gave way. Felt like it just popped out. And I was on the ground. It was one of those feelings where you're like, my body's not supposed to do that.
No.
You know, like that.
Like, obviously, concerned would be the first initial.
Correct.
Like, what is... It must be so tricky to explain the pain, but it literally just felt like you just didn't have a knee.
Well, no, it felt like my knee popped out and in. Like, it feels like your whole thing shifts, you know, in one, like in and out real quick. It's like when I assume when it's like you dislocate your shoulder or your finger but it's your knee.
And did you know straight away ACL, or did you not really understand?
No, well, it's one of those things you hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
But as a sportsman, it's not until you actually do it that you understand what it is and what it feels like. I was able to get back up and walk after a little while. Like, the pain was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
But I was able to get back up. And then for the next kind of 12, maybe 24 hours, it was more like, I think it's just a dislocation.
Yeah.
Like,
was it swollen or anything?
Yeah, I think it's swelled up. And my dad's a myotherapist, so I went home. He did tests and stuff like that on it, and he's like, I think it's just a dislocation.
Yep.
I think I went to the physio the next day or a few days after. So this is also funny because I went to the physio. I think they did the MRI, but the physio was like, I think it's just a dislocation.
So, well, that's good. Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah, and then I think it was like the Monday after or something, I went back to the physio, but it was a different physio that I'd seen the first time. And so he gets the MRI up and he's like,
ACL.
Yeah, look, mate, so it's not a dislocation.
Oh. And so you had like, so many, a few people saying dislocation.
Yeah.
And then,
So I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I could walk afterward or something like that, but I think it was the people who did the tests, because they do the movement tests. I think that's why they were like, it's not a ACL tear, but it was. So
what was the recovery like? Like, it's obviously when you do an ACL, it's 12 months, no question, really. You had surgery for that one. Mm-hmm. What was the recovery?
Yeah, so you have what they call prehab, which is you get in the gym and get your whole leg as strong as possible, because after you do your ACL, you actually, after a while, you can pretty much have full movement.
Okay.
You just can't move laterally very well.
Yep.
Because it'll give way. But you can do strength training, you can do running, you can do a whole bunch of stuff.
That's interesting. Oh, I did not know that. I would have thought, like, if you do an ACL, I would have thought for the first few months, literally, you keep it immobilized.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you can run, you can move with it. So what you have to do is get it moving.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to try and get as much movement, and you have to try and get as strong as possible. So I went to the gym. I think Chris was playing at the time. Chris Blitzov's
Okay, so is
who's
that Mark's
brother.
There you go.
So he played with Geelong. He's a PT, so I worked with him a fair bit and got my knee good. Went into tried to get as strong as possible. Went into surgery and then did the long rehab for 12 months after that.
And obviously, when did the pain start going away? Was it just after surgery?
Oh man,
so was it lingering.
Doing an ACL is hard. Getting surgery for an ACL is next level.
Really? Because obviously you've got to be an athlete to have surgery. Isn't that like sort of pretty much the rule?
Pretty much.
So was it tricky to get that surgery?
It was, I guess not tricky. It was really painful.
Yeah. Did they put you to sleep?
Yeah, they put you to sleep. They take some of your hamstring out and they put it in your knee.
So they use the hamstring?
They did for me, yeah.
Okay.
I think they can take quad and stuff like that.
So they just took the muscle out. And then what do they do?
They put it in the knee between kind of the top and the bottom back of your knee kind of thing. That's where it sits.
And then does that mean your quad or your hammy muscle, does it go back?
Yeah, so your hammy, has to, but it's really weak then, right?
Okay.
So you've got a weak hammy.
Cooked.
Correct.
Right. So
so you hear stories of people. I know people who they've done their ACL, got their hammy put in there as an ACL reconstruction.
Yep.
And then they pull their hammy out, when they go and try and do something because their hammy's weak.
Wow. You got to be super, super, super careful.
Yeah, correct.
With that.
Then I had my 12-month rehab.
So after surgery, how long was it before you could start moving?
I was on crutches for a bit. I remember being at home. I think it was I think we went through another bout of COVID maybe during this time. Probably. I can't remember. But yeah, I was at home a lot. I was on crutches a lot. I was on drugs. Sleeping was really frustrating. You got to have your knee elevated and on your back, but I can't sleep on my back, so it's just annoying.
That's not good.
And so you're on medication and stuff just to keep the pain and the swelling down. And then after a week or two, it starts to recover. But I remember times, just being with mum, you just try and go somewhere and move around at a park or something like that on your crutches just because you feel out of it. But anyway, so then, after a couple of weeks, then you're starting to move again. You're trying to walk on it again slowly, trying to weight bear, doing exercises at home, all that type of stuff.
So we speak about the lack of luck that you've had. So you were playing really well, ACL done. You recover from your first ACL. Then your second ACL happens. Correct. Did you play basketball after your first ACL?
Yeah.
And okay, it's for the Supercats?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So I actually came back into training the next season. We were to at least more than halfway through the season. I think we're getting near the finals. And I came back to training, had the tests done and everything like that, came back to training, was actually training quite well, felt pretty good on the court. And then I remember going for a block. This isn't when I did it again, but I went for a block and all my weight was going to my right side, so I had to land on my right leg and hyperextended it.
Oh, so that's when it bends the wrong way.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
So I think just lack of strength, lack of mobility, and that was in the right one.
A hyperextend. That right leg has had copped. Yeah, absolutely. So the hyperextension, how much did that hurt?
So it hurt it hurt a fair bit. I didn't think I did it again, but because it was the right knee, I had to get it tested again. Right. So I had to go back and get an MRI.
But good news, it wasn't an ACL.
Good thing, no, it wasn't.
Played a bit of basketball.
So I played a bit of basketball, and then I came into what would have been the summer of last year, so 2023, and had to make a decision on, do I come back and play Supercats or do I not? Because I had other things going on in my life. I was looking at doing a lot more leadership stuff in church areas and stuff like that, and so had to decide if I'd pursue basketball more, if I would step away and do other things. And so I made that decision, which it was probably a decision that I'd thought about more after I did the ACL again.
When did you do the second ACL?
I did that the start of last year, which would have been basically a year, nearly a year exactly after I did it the first time.
So you made the decision to step away after the second one, right?
No, it would have been just before.
Just before. Okay, so you decided to step away and then you did it?
Yeah, and then playing social Christian college again, Div 1.
Right. So you did, and I guess you would have known you did it straight away, I guess, or was it a bit different?
Yeah, I think so. And so the thing with this whole process is, so I'd catch up with my physio every now and then. And to be honest, I could have done more with my rehab. Like I don't know, I could have done better. And I think I was still doing what I could, but it was probably the bare minimum. But I think it was because I knew deep down, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to come back and play.
Yeah.
And so that motivation, when you're feeling that way, is tough.
You start to go,
do I really want this?
Yeah.
And when years previous, I'd been very, very driven and training and stuff like that, it wasn't there anymore for me. And so part of that was the journey of the ACL and the journey of not coming back to Geelong. And so when I did it a second time, it was really frustrating because it was like, oh, this is annoying. But it felt like the end of a chapter a little bit. That solidified that.
So it wasn't really a difficult decision to say, see at a professional basketball.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you still got your social one going.
Correct. I think the hardest thing I had to grapple with was I either go on and try and make NBL or I do something else with my life. That was... And I was actually quite privileged because I saw the highest level. When I was...
Were you experienced?
In COVID... when I was training with Geelong, I made the team. Justin Schuller, who was the coach at the time, was an assistant coach with Melbourne United. Yeah. In Melbourne. And during COVID, he was like, hey, do you want to come up to Melbourne, have some scrimmages? Yeah. With us. And they were kind of getting guys, I think, from around Victoria, young guys who were maybe prospects, just to come and train up in Melbourne with the NBL.
There we go.
And the NBL team. And so that was probably the pinnacle for me. Yeah. Of seeing what it's like at that level. And I didn't really train or scrimmage against NBL players. It was more with the prospects.
Yeah. But you'd even take that. Like if someone were to say to you at 5 years old or whenever you started that you'd even make it. Like that's a good effort. It's a really good... So you had a lot of support through your injuries, did you? Like how big was that?
It was... Because you'd... So much support,
It would be like a lonely...
So much support. Yeah, part of it was...
Lonely.
Like, even people from Christian College. Yeah. And, like, the basketball heads and stuff like that, they'd be reaching out. I was coaching at the time because I was like, if you want something to do, we can get you a coach. Like, lots and lots of support. I had people who had done ACLs. There was someone in the women's Supercats team who was also doing an ACL.
Oh, so at least, like
rehab. So we kind of talked about work together and just like, how you going? Like, how's it feel? All that type of stuff. People had done their... Nathan Herbert, who is a great Supercat, reached out. He'd done his ACL before. Yeah. So it's kind of funny when you do it. There's all these people come out from the woodwork.
That's like, they're going through the same thing.
Yeah, I've had the same thing, bro. Here to support you and all the rest.
Well, that's a good thing because, like you have not had the luck of the draw in terms of injuries. But correct. Yeah, I mean, your transitions from basketball to, I guess, life after basketball, you seem like you're enjoying... Yeah, everything at the moment. How did you cope initially after you stopped basketball?
It was and still is. It's a really big adjustment period. Like, I mean, you can probably talk to anyone who's had to go from any type of career or job or big thing you've done for a long period of time to a big amount of change.
Well, because you would have been in a routine, probably.
Yeah, you're in a routine of training, of playing, and of off season for 10 years.
So that would allow a lot more time. Like you would have had a lot more time, I guess, with yourself after.
Correct.
Saying goodbye. What are you doing now? Obviously, you mentioned about leadership at your church. What's life looking like at the moment?
Yeah. So I've been at Kidinia Church for 8 years, pretty much a fair bit of my adult adult life. Yep. Excuse me, I'm just gonna dry throat.
Yeah, so no worries. Yeah, I know. A couple of hours or an hour talking, it does. I do get dry throats too. So
I should be used to it though. I public speak a fair bit now. And
you do actually behind the microphone. You got to make sure there's water with you. But nah.
So yeah, being a part of that church for a while and being a part of leadership in the youth there. Yep. And in different spheres and so just as I've been there for the last however many years, felt really drawn to I guess loving and supporting people, championing people, and church has given me the opportunity to do that in pretty incredible ways. And so as I was growing in my own leadership and then my own skills and talents and I believe God-given abilities, I started to see that I love leading people. And so it's been a journey. So last year, after finishing basketball, a big part of it for me was I really want to look at doing leadership at a high capacity, and especially in the church space.
Do you like public speaking?
I do.
You do? Well, then it suits you perfectly,
thanks.
pretty much.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And so, so last year was a bit of a transition. Nathan Friend, who was running the youth program at Cardinia, had a discussion with me and said, hey, look, what do you think about taking it on next year? This could be your thing. And so had a bit of a period of being like, it's a big thing. Like we have 80 plus kids on a Friday night that you got to manage, and you do a lot of fun things with, but then you've also got your speaking part of it and then leading leaders on top of that. It can be a lot, and so I had a lot to process last year during that time for a good 6 to 8 months, I guess, until this year, and then slowly started to take more on the Friday nights and now running the program on a Friday.
So recently you're now taking over the is it the youth leadership?
Yep.
Yeah, so that'll be you'll enjoy that, won't you?
Yeah. So it's been pretty cool to see the transition and what I believe in my life, like God's kind of taken me on this journey of playing basketball for a season.
Yep.
And then there is that transition period that I had to go through of, this is tough. What's going on? Where am I going next?
It would be so tough because there wouldn't have been much. Was there much clarity? Because I guess you've always wanted to be a leader, but it would have been just such a shock. I feel like because you wouldn't have expected it to happen.
Yeah, I think I always knew that. Well, my adult life, let's say, the last couple of years. I'm 26.
Yep.
I kind of knew I would probably end up in a position like this. You just never know when. But also it was like, I've been playing basketball for
ages.
10 years at least, like since I'm 8 years old. I love the game. I had a lot of people telling me about my potential for a long time and what I could do, and you make it to high levels. And so you kind of get to a point where you're like, am I wasting talent? All that. Should I just come back from ACL? Should I just try again? All that type of stuff. So, I guess the transition, it was very cool to see that there was a purpose in that space. And
obviously, we did mention the word fishing ages ago, but your hobbies and your interests.
Fishing.
You do love your fishing. What are your interests along with fishing and leadership and sport? Do you have any others?
I mean, obviously, I love the AFL, so I actually watch a lot of it now.
Scores now, you're up by, it's 46-74, so it's 30.
Okay, Geelong haven't
28
dropped the ball,
points.
so we're okay.
Yeah.
Big time Cat supporter with Uncle Ben.
Yep.
Got me a membership. Uncle Ben and Hannah.
Yep.
Bless them. Got me a membership when I was
got another feature, Ben.
10 to 12 or something like that, I reckon. My family, my parents and stuff wasn't really into AFL when I was younger.
Yep.
I think the 07 grand final changed that.
That would have changed a bit. Massive win.
Correct.
Massive win.
Big win. And then after that, it was all over Red Rover, and ever since been a big Geelong fan. So I love the Cats.
Yep. Did you go to the 07 granny?
No, I went to the
08.
8.
Yeah, that. Yeah, we've heard a couple of stories.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't. In fact, rules changed from that game.
Correct.
With the deliberate. I think
what it would be
10
like
goals,
now,
20.
Hawthorn.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so yeah, love me footy.
Yeah.
Obviously love me NBA. Love me fishing. Get to go with Dad, especially over summer. We go fishing a fair bit and chase your tuna and your kingfish and all the fun fish out there. And then, I don't know, man, like a lot of my life now is people and church and leadership, which I love. Yeah. But you have to learn to watch your own tank, watch your own capacity and that type of thing. I love my outdoors. And your forward driving and your camping, that type of stuff. I've got a really boring car at the moment, so that's not an option. But, you love my traveling and all that stuff as well. So, that's how life looks at the moment. I also work down at Camp Wilkin in Anglesey.
Yes.
So shout out to BCV.
They'll be happy about that.
Get to run fun outdoor ed programs down there and stuff like that as well, which I love. So that's what it looks like at the moment.
So just with like everything that you've endured and everything like you've experienced in Newcastle.
It sounds like I've lived forward in like 50 years of war veteran or something.
Well, maybe not that extreme, but look, your right knee's endured a lot. What lessons have you learnt?
Oh, man.
And what have you learned about yourself or developed yourself?
Yeah. Simple question.
Yeah.
What have I learnt? I've learnt to trust the process, to be really cringe and Joel and beat about it.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
I don't know. You can't.
It's a
You can
resilient.
think you're gonna go somewhere in life, and you're gonna do something, and you've got aspirations and stuff like that. But sometimes there's a better plan that you're not aware of, and so things happen in the moment that look really hard or really out of the plan or really not quite sure why something's happened. But if you just trust what could happen out of a bad situation, then you never know where you can end up. And so, I've just learnt that there are moments that happen in life that can determine what happens next, and you can choose to trust what could happen, or you can try and control the situation and try and make it go your way, when sometimes you actually just have to see, is this an opportunity for something else? Yeah,
well, no, it's actually, you make a fair point, because if you trust and like you have that clarity and peace of mind that everything will be okay, I feel like, the less stress, the better.
Correct.
And no, you hit the nail on the head there. That is good. So looking into the future, don't know how far you want to look into, but
sure.
what is next for you? What do you want to achieve? What are your goals for the next year, or however far you want to look into it?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any?
Right now for me, there's obviously there's a few big things that have happened, and taking on this role with the youth stuff. There's a lot of team building stuff at the moment, which is pretty cool, like leadership stuff and putting people in the right places to succeed in their own leadership, and equipping people to do that stuff. And so that's pretty cool, and kind of just seeing what this youth space can look like going into the future. So a lot of it for me is that at the moment, and then kind of just trying to build myself up to go, forward in having a family and building a life and building some sustainability. And so a lot of the things for me at the moment, they're not like really big and fun, and I've kind of reached a stage where I'm like, I really want to build something special in life that's going to last a long time, and even hopefully through generations. And so a lot of it for me is really building up that leadership stuff, but also preparing myself for what could be next in terms of family stuff. That's good. Well, to end this interview, we've had a request from Ben again. He has had a feature. He has everything.
He is a sneaky guy. He's weaved himself into this podcast. He's not even in the room. He's probably however far away.
Ben, if you don't watch this podcast,
I'm going to absolutely.
Correct.
You're going to cop it. You're going to
get a
cop
spray,
it, because the amount of times we've said his name is unlimited. The Harlem Globetrotters. This is something that gets brought up.
This is the most important part of this segment.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and we've left it till the end.
Everything else.
We've left it to the end for a reason.
Yes.
And for those who skipped, do not skip. Go back and listen to the whole thing. This is the most important thing.
This is big. Very big news.
This is huge news. So the Harlem Globetrotters, we went to one of their games. Oh,
we did in Melbourne
4 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Really good show. Good tickets.
Yeah, it was a good
Shout
show.
out to Ben.
Yeah.
You bought the tickets again.
Correct.
I'm not mentioning you again.
Shout out to Grayson too.
Shout out to
son,
Grayson,
by the way. We should be talking about Gray way more than talking about Ben.
Grayson deserves it. Ben does not even.
Correct.
He does not even
We love you,
deserve
Gray.
it. Grayson, we love you.
Yeah.
So it is a corrupt system, and we don't want to get ourselves cancelled.
No, we don't. No,
but it's facts. It's facts.
We don't want to get sued or banned or anything. But
and the Washington Generals is where it's at.
Correct. Absolutely.
the Globetrotters get all the praise.
They do.
They get all the attention.
They do.
And they always win off the back of rigged circumstances.
Correct.
So what we did was we went to the game and we had a really good show again. They had some good tricks and they had some good tricks.
Yeah.
And after the game, we saw everyone rush to the Generals. Sorry, no, we saw everyone rush.
We didn't see anyone.
We saw no one rush to the Generals.
That's right.
We saw everyone rush to the
desert near
Globetrotters.
the Generals.
And the Generals are all standing there,
Correct.
lonely, looking depressed.
They are.
While they're watching on against their rivals.
That's right.
Anyway,
Well,
so what we decided to do was we decided to cheer him up.
Correct.
And we went up to him and we said, "Hey, mate, we appreciate you."
We do.
Because they don't get any appreciation.
Absolutely. Without the Washington Generals, what are the Harlem Globetrotters going to do for 2 hours?
They are the reason the Globetrotters are good.
Correct.
They are the reason. They need their praise, and we gave them that praise. We went up to him and we said, "Mate, we'll get a photo. We appreciate
That's right.
what
We
you
appreciate what you do.
Meanwhile, the rest of the stadiums around the Globetrotters.
Yeah.
I know, we were looking at the stats in the car ride back, and oh my goodness, doesn't it stand out to me? So they've been playing for 100 odd years.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think we found out that the last Washington Generals victory was back in the 70s. So they haven't won for 50 years.
Yeah. It's nearly as bad as the Kangaroos.
That is nearly as bad as the Kangaroos. Thank you. What's the score now? Yeah, we're losing by 35 points. Nearly as bad as the Kangaroos. They have played, I can't remember, maybe 17,000 times. I think it is a lot of times.
It is.
The Washington Generals have won 4 games from 17,000 matches.
Worst record of all time.
There is a
for any sports
really
team.
Strong message that I'm trying to get across here.
Yes, good.
And it's to give the Generals a win.
Give them a chance.
Give them a chance.
Give them a chance.
They were leading the whole game.
They were playing good basketball at some points.
And just the defense just collapsed.
Yeah, it did. No good. I don't know what happened in the last couple of minutes.
No
but
good. So,
bit of a
here's the message. Whatever camera is going on, the Globetrotters and the Generals, they've been facing off for 100 years.
Yep.
It is about time, since 50 years, that the Generals get a victory.
Correct.
Because we were the 2, maybe 3, including Grayson. Grayson ended up going for the Generals, I hope so. 3 fans out of 20-odd thousand people.
I don't know how many people there.
We're going for the Generals. Maybe. Sorry, we're going for the Generals.
We were.
And they were winning the whole time. Last 40 seconds, the clock stopped when it shouldn't have stopped.
Correct.
The clock went when it shouldn't have went.
Correct.
So everything is against the Generals. I feel like if I were to go to a game,
including the crowd.
Yeah, if I were to go to a game and the Generals won, it would just be the best feeling ever, because the rarity of it happening is one.
Well, imagine rocking up to a Harlem Globetrotters game going, I don't know if they're going to win. So, imagine the showmanship of them not winning a game.
I know.
Imagine just imagine Harlem Globetrotters, if you're listening. Imagine what it would be like for the suspense.
Oh.
If you're like, they might not win tonight. They didn't win last week.
Exactly.
Which hasn't happened in 50 years.
Will it happen again?
Will it happen again? We don't know.
We don't know. Imagine... because that'll get more tickets.
Oh, absolutely. I think it would raise ticket sales.
It would raise tickets, because people go into the game saying, the Harlem Globetrotters will win again.
Imagine if you're a person who goes to that game and you're like, I saw the Washington Generals win.
Would there ever be a better story?
And it might not happen for 20 years, you were at that game.
To be in person at a game where Washington win.
Imagine the shock.
It would just be ridiculous. Because you can just say, I went to the game where the Generals won.
But you just never know. Maybe like roll a dice, like they win every 3 years or something like that.
Something like that. Because then it gives people, maybe they won't win.
Yeah. Bit of suspense.
There is something suspicious, a bit fishy going on with this little league, this little thing. And we had a chat to the Washington Generals guy. And I did mention, mate, are you
He did well to keep his
Yeah, he did really well, didn't
shut.
he? I told him, are you allowed to purposely take the winning shot?
Yeah, correct. Take the winning shot. That's right.
And he's like, I can't disclose that information. So I walk away from Melbourne thinking, why isn't this being discussed around the world?
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I've seen nothing on this.
No one has said anything.
No.
It just goes past everyone's minds.
And what happened in the 70s when they won? Like what?
I bet you they'd get sacked.
How did that?
I reckon people that win for the Generals, they would get sacked, which is not fair.
Bring in a new team.
You gotta get suspense.
You gotta get correct.
It's about the what will happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's why great close sports games.
That is what.
Bring the heart rate up, right?
Bring the heart rate up. Because
bring it back, Harlem.
I was just shaking my head looking at the stats and thinking the last time they won was 50 years. Like, it is so rigged.
Poor guys.
And the fact that it has not been discussed in this country, in this world, is beyond
Imagine
me.
being the coach and walking into the locker room being like, guys, we've got a shot tonight.
Yeah. Imagine being the coach... And
that coach.
he was
the best actor in the whole stadium.
He was the best actor.
He was brilliant.
He had some dances. He was very.
And we
good.
wanted to meet you, coach, but
I know we wanted to meet, but he sort of ducked into the change rooms, probably crying his eyes out. Because the thing is, imagine being the coach and taking the Generals to a victory for 50 years. You might get sacked, but the joy that it would bring yourself, the joy it would bring myself,
absolutely,
the joy it would bring Grayson, and hopefully...
It would create ripples through the...
And people will start going for the Generals. And another
Which is what we need.
And it's what we need. Because the thing is what's going on social media, on Instagram... Harlem Globetrotters have almost 1 million followers. The Generals have 2,000. What is the go there?
They haven't posted in a while,
Their last post was like 2018 or ages ago. So I think that they need to get their act together.
Correct.
I think that the Harlem Globetrotters are a part of this. They're starting to say, right, they absolutely hate the Generals. We need a social media team at the Generals.
We do. And I was thinking this. Washington Generals, if you're listening, find a social media person. There will be people who buy your merch, buy your jersey. I want to buy a jersey.
The merch.
Give me a t-shirt, please.
The merch.
Oh.
We go in a John Cain Arena. You look left, you look right.
Nothing.
It's Globetrotters.
There's no green anyway.
There's no green. There has to... and weren't you looking on some, like maybe eBay or something?
I had to dig a bit to find
You've got to
anything.
really go into these probably scamming websites
that's right.
to
I
find
don't even know if it's real.
It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. You got to be able to purchase Washington General jerseys.
And it's only going to make the Harlem Globetrotters even more famous,
exactly.
Right? Who's the Washington Generals? They play the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah. We know how passionate we both are.
I would love some merch. Just gonna put it out there. If anyone hears this who has any power, we will wear them. We will give out merch.
I would walk around the Melbourne CBD with a Washington Generals singlet on.
Absolutely.
And people will jump on board.
Absolutely.
Because they need the fans. But no, it was actually good to have a chat with a couple of the players.
It was. Nice guys.
Yeah, they were really good.
Yeah.
They were
actually quite... They ended up being quite cheery, even though it was a tough night, obviously.
Yeah, tough night.
Yeah.
Tough, I mean, it's something that they're obviously used to, but which shouldn't be the case. But no, it was important to get that little spiel out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I agree. The world needs to know.
Oh, the world needs to know. And I hope they do off the back of that little... I don't know. It wasn't really rage. It was just a really confined...
Just speaking some facts, to be honest.
Just speaking facts.
Yeah, just what we saw.
I mean, you can't say it's not corrupt because it is. And people have got to realise this.
It is.
The Harlem Globetrotters, and they've just got to start losing. Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Well, that sort of wraps that up. And thank you, Josiah. That was...
of course.
That was a really good interview, actually. Globetrotters, very interesting chat. Happy. Ben featured about 50 times. You'll be happy with that.
Maybe we should get Ben here.
Oh.
You know what? Hopefully we get Grayson Peck in this seat one day.
Oh, he'll be NBA worthy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He'll be playing for...
I hope he goes far beyond me.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's a good little player.
Not with the injuries. That's not...
No. We can't afford Grayson to pick up a couple of ACLs. But no, thank you for... Your story is very interesting. I actually did not understand what it was like. Obviously, we chat all the time, but not really about basketball. So it was good to sit down and have a chat about it. And, of course, talk about the Harlem Globetrotters. It's been...
very important.
Very happy to have you on, Joss.
Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you so much. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next time.